Vermont legend, NCAA legend, TJ Sorrentine. Thanks for coming on. You know, obviously, I would say one of the biggest shots in NCAA tournament history, one of the biggest upsets in terms of just a joy. I remember watching.
Let me tell you once again, comes down to fundamentals. Oh, my goodness! Sorrentine hit that one from the parking lot, and Vermont has a 59-55 lead. 106 to go in OT.
But, you know, just before that, even that game, obviously this is a year Coach Brennan announces, you know, he's going to be retiring, but you guys are an experienced team. I believe you played preseason number one ranked, you know, Kansas at the beginning. You also played North Carolina, who had won it. And a lot of people said, you know, you guys were maybe one of the most underseeded teams. You know, take me back first before that game, just in the locker room. I don't know if you're in the locker room or the viewing room of Selection Sunday, seeing that seed. You know, what was the mood seeing that, you know, maybe you thought you guys should have been a little bit higher?
Yeah, the NCAA tournament is the best tournament in the world. So like that Selection Sunday is awesome. And we had experienced it the past 2 years. So I think leading up to that, a lot of people were expecting our seed to be like, 12, possibly an 11.
The number 4 seed, Syracuse, the orange, getting stronger as the Big East tournament went along and claimed the championship for the first time since 1992. They'll take on the Catamounts of Vermont, the number 13 seed out of the America East. What do you think, guys?
Well, you look at this. Those guys are asking.
And when it pops up 13, I think people were a little disappointed. And then when we see who we're playing, Syracuse, who had just come off the Big East championship run, and they won the Big East title, and I think a lot of people were like, oh man, this is a tough draw. For me personally, I'm like, I love it. It's a 2-3 zone. I'm going to shoot 23s on that night. So I was fired up. But I think a lot of people were a little disappointed and shocked. But personally, we had, like you said, we had played Kansas the first game of the year. We played the eventual national champion, North Carolina. So we had played some of the best teams. So we felt like we could beat anybody. And I think that's the mindset you have to have going into the NCAA tournament if you're going to upset somebody. And you also have to have experience. I think the tradition shows like experienced teams, especially at the mid-major level, usually can win games or spring an upset. And we had that. We had 5 seniors, and we had a great group of guys. So we knew we had the makings of it. Now you got to do it. Just because you have those things doesn't mean it's going to happen, and you got to have a little bit of luck and all that stuff. But it just happened at the right time for us.
Absolutely. And then obviously, that game, a grinded out game, at halftime, I think you guys, down by, I think 5 or so points, a low scoring game. You guys weren't hitting threes, kind of the message in that locker room. And then obviously, just take me through, the build up to that shot. Again, one of the greatest calls, I would say too, in NCAA history. It kind of obviously made the moment that much more special.
Yeah, one of my best friends to this day, kid Alex Jensen, we always sat next to each other in the locker room. We were down 5, and we get in the locker room. He tapped me on the leg and said, "Keep shooting." And I think I was like 1 for 8 or something like that in the first half. And he's like, "And I'm telling you, this is the best thing that could have happened." And I'm like, well, I'm looking at him like, what do you mean? He's like, we're down 5. He's like, they think they're in control. He's like, I'm telling you, if we were up 5, they'd come out like gangbusters, and they'd be pissed off in the locker room. And, I'm looking at him like he's crazy at the moment. I'm a 21-year-old kid. And I'm like, you're crazy, man. But now as I look at his coach, and in retrospect, I always tell him like that made so much sense. And so that was kind of our mood. I mean, that was the message. And, we had confidence, and Coach Brennan was the ultimate guy in the locker room, believer. And, he just instilled so much confidence in us. Like there was no way he was going to let us believe we weren't going to win that game at any moment. And that was one of his most beautiful traits as a coach. And then, speaking of that, the shot, I think you said it right. The call is what made the shot from the parking lot. That's what everybody, kind of calls me and associates me with. And I thank Gus Johnson a ton for that call. I mean, he's the man. And that was an unbelievable call in that moment.
Determined not to go home. Shovels it off. Mopagila with the steal. Bad decision. Again, he's got the ball. Kick it back outside. Hakeem Warwick's done a lot of wonderful things in his career, and you'd hate to see his career end on a couple of mistakes that he knows better. Now Vermont pulls it out. Vance Jennings. UVM. Let me tell you once again, comes down to fundamentals. Oh, my goodness! Sorrentine hit that one from the parking lot. And Vermont has a...
Well, leading up to that, it was just one of those, I always tell people, it's like you're in your driveway and you counting down just by yourself, shooting outside, 5, 4, 3, you let it fly, and, you run around and you're excited because you make it, or you're mad because you miss it. And like, I was fortunate enough to have that moment in real life. And fortunately it went down. Again, a little bit of luck. I'm not going to say I practiced that shot a ton in my life, but I did have 16, 17 attempts in that game. So I had a lot of practice in that game. So yes. I think that helped. But just a legendary moment, and just, I was fortunate and lucky to be in that position.